Hey, Allison Verhalen here with AV Writing Services, and today we are talking about backlinks. So I mentioned this briefly a week or two ago in my video talking about Google's EAT standards, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. Kind of covered backlinks, touched on it a little bit, but I felt like it really deserved its own blog post and its own video. So here we are talking all about backlinks in this video. So first of all, what are backlinks? Backlinks are when another site links back to your website. That's a backlink. There are external and internal backlinks. So when another site links back to your website, that's an external backlink. An internal backlink is when you link on your blog post or web page to another web page or blog post on your own website. That's an internal backlink. Someone asked me recently if internal backlinks are bad. They're not bad per se, but you do have to be kind of careful about it, just because if you're only talking about yourself, it doesn't give you a whole lot of credibility. Providing external backlinks to other websites is not only great for your SEO, it helps out the other website, it also establishes you as an authority because you're backing up whatever it is you're saying with data from someone else. Provided that resource is credible, hopefully they are, otherwise don't use them. So that gives you more credibility because it establishes that you know where to go for the good data. You know where the good data is, you know how to research it, you know who the good resources are. So it looks good for you, it looks good to Google. If anyone comes to your website and they see that all the links, all the references, all the resources just link back to other blog posts on your website or other pages on your website, then you're just tooting your own horn and you're the only resource. They have to completely take your word for it that you know what you're talking about. Whereas when they see you referencing other resources, that demonstrates that you know what you're talking about. And look, I can back this up because this person over here is a credible resource and they say the same thing, or they have the data to back this up. I'll say stuff like this all the time on my website where, provide a statistic or a percentage and then link to it saying this is how I know that these numbers are real because there was this study done about it and the study you can find over here. That kind of thing is absolutely something that you should be using in your own content. So we'll get to that a little bit later as to using backlinks in your own content, but I did want to briefly cover the fact that internal backlinks are not necessarily bad, but you do want to be careful. You should really only use them, again, when you're referencing, I'd say like one other blog post. You can link to another blog post from one of your own blog posts. And then at the end, the call to action should be either a link to, ask them to subscribe to your newsletter or follow you on social media. Or if you're really going for the hard sell, you can direct them to a sales page on your website or a landing page, depending on what your goals are for that particular piece of content. That's fine, but then we're talking like 2 internal links per piece of content at the absolute most, right? Any other links in your content should be external backlinks. They should be leading to other websites. So why does Google care about external backlinks? And again, when I say Google cares, Google cares who you're linking to. Google cares also when other people link to your site. So why does Google care when another website links back to your website? It all comes back to authority and trustworthiness, which are the two of the big standards in Google's EAT standards, right? You've got expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And one of the ways you demonstrate that authority and trustworthiness is when other people link back to your website, or even if they mention you. Sometimes even if they just mention you in their content and they don't even provide a link, Google knows. Google knows your name, it knows your business's name. So if people are talking, for example, about AV writing services on some other site and they don't provide a link, Google is still going to know that they're talking about my website, and it's going to factor into my website's rankings. So Google cares because, again, it needs that backup, that buy-in, that someone else thinks you're really credible, you know what you're talking about, they're using you as a resource when they're talking about something related to your content, to your products or services. That is super valuable for you when it comes to your SEO, because Google goes, okay, this person trusts them, this is a really good website, this must be a good website too, and that's going to help boost your rankings. If you're only talking about yourself, if no one else knows who you are and they don't ever link to you or talk about you, then Google knows who you are, but Google is going to figure that you're obsolete and no one links to you, so they're not going to boost you in relevant searches. So that is absolutely something to take into consideration. Now, there are good backlinks and there are bad backlinks, and they both impact your SEO. So if another website links back to your website, and it's a good site and it ranks for relevant searches and Google loves it and it's got high quality content, great, you're golden. Again, provided it's relevant. If random people are linking to your website for whatever reason, I'm not sure it's going to hurt you necessarily, but it's also not really going to help you, just because Google pays a lot of attention to relevance, and more Google is really trying to get relevance into their algorithm to make sure that they're putting relevant content in front of people when they're searching for stuff, because that's Google's job, right? Is to get relevant content in front of people saying, hey, you're searching for this. This is relevant to what you're searching for. So in order to do that, Google has to make sure that we are relevant, that our websites have relevant content and relevant backlinks. So they're going to look at their content and make sure that it's relevant to the content they're linking to back on your website. So all of this is important. Now, if it's a low quality website with bad content, it's stuffed with keywords, it does not rank well for relevant searches, that can actually hurt your SEO if you're having a website like that link back to your website. You do not want that because it's bad. It can actually have a negative impact on your rankings. So there is a way to deal with that. We'll get to that later. First of all, how do you get good backlinks? It kind of sucks, right? That this impacts your SEO, what other people are saying about you and whether or not other people link back to you. Feels kind of like a catch-22, right? It's like, well, I'm creating all this content so I can show up in searches and people know who I am and see me as an authority, and hopefully then they'll link to me, but you're not going to rank in relevant searches until people start linking back to your site. So how do you get people to link to your website? First of all, just ask nicely. It's sometimes the simplest answer. The most polite answer really is just the easiest way to get something. Now, it has to be more than just please link to my site because I'd really appreciate it. I'm sure there are people out there who are happy to do you favors, but if you're reaching out to some random person, maybe it shouldn't be random, it should be an influencer in your industry or in a related industry, not a competitor because they're not going to want to send traffic from their website to your website, but someone in a related industry can do a really good job of growing your visibility online if you do it right. Now, the way you should approach them is saying, hey, first of all, use Check My Links. It is a browser extension, and you can go to any website and click on the Check My Links, and it will check for broken links on that page. So look for topics that are related to the topic that your most recent blog post covered. Look for those articles, look for broken links. If you find a broken link, then you can reach out to that person, whoever wrote it, the author, the editor, whoever it is who's in charge of that website, and say, hey, I noticed you have this broken link. I just happen to have a blog post about a related topic or about that topic. Maybe you want to link back to my post instead, right? So that gives them a reason to link back to your website in a way that benefits them. We are selfish creatures. It's all about what's in it for us. So give them a reason to do that in a way that benefits them. So, and again, asking nicely, saying pretty please, never hurts. Next up, tit for tat. Use backlinks in your own website, your own content. Use external backlinks. Not only, again, it makes you look more credible, but there's also a tit for tat. Maybe you can strike up a partnership with someone and say, hey, if you link back to my content, I'll link back to your content. Again, it should be relevant. It should be someone in a related industry, not a competitor, but someone who does not mind sending traffic your way and someone to whom you do not mind sending traffic their way. So keep keep that in mind. And again, you can write relevant content, you can write blog posts, blog series that bounce off of each other and complement each other, so that it makes sense for you to have those backlinks. Now, there's guest blogging and sponsored links. Guest blogging used to be a great way to improve your SEO because you would get a backlink every time, right? You would post a guest blog post on someone else's website, and they would link back to your website, brief bio at the end saying so-and-so does this, you can check out their website over here, you get a link over there, that boosts your SEO, it boosts your organic traffic, it boosts your authority. It's great, right? And then they have free content on their website. It's a win-win. Google caught on, and Google decided it did not really like that. So now it's not that those links will hurt you, but they're not going to boost your SEO the way that they used to. So there are certain tags you can use, and you can check out the blog post. I'm not going to spell it out here, but it's in the blog post, and there's a link to the blog post in this video, where you can see the tags that you need to use. It's just a little bit of code. It's not a lot of code. Don't worry, it's not scary, but just a little bit of code that you need in those links when you're linking back to your website when someone writes a guest post for your blog. So let's say someone wrote a guest post on your blog. You want to provide a link back to their website. There's a little bit of code. It would be either UGC or what's the other one? UGC is one, and there's another tag you can use just to let them know to let Google know that link is user-generated content. That's what the UGC stands for. So that lets Google know to not really pay attention to it when it comes to SEO. Now that link still works. Anyone who clicks on that link will still go back to that person's website. But that code just is a way to let Google know, please don't follow this link. Same when you post a blog post on someone else's blog and they have a link back to your website, they should make sure that link has that little code in there. Otherwise, Google will get kind of pissy, and no one wants to piss off Google because, let's face it, they basically control the world at this point. So keep that in mind. Again, guest blogging is still a great way to build your authority, to build your credibility, to get in front of an entirely new audience and establish yourself as an authority. And again, that link is still gonna work. Anyone who reads the content, finds it super valuable, wants to know more about you, they can still click that link, they'll get back to your website, that boosts your traffic. So there is still something to be said for that, for guest blogging as a way to build your online visibility. It's just in terms of SEO, specifically, it's not as great as it used to be. Sponsored links, again, anytime you have an affiliate, for example, if you have affiliate links on your website, be really careful that you have that sponsored tag in the code that has that link, so that, again, Google knows that it is sponsored, that they are paying for that link. Along those lines, never buy backlinks. There are all kinds of services out there that say, hey, if you pay us X amount of dollars, we'll get a bunch of backlinks to your website. Don't ever, ever, ever do that. It's spammy, it's gross, you're gonna get a bunch of low quality, bad sites linking back to your website, and Google's gonna find out that you paid for those links, and it's not gonna like that. And Google will punish you because, again, Google tends to get kind of pissy with that kind of stuff. So just don't do it. Just avoid it. So that's what not to do to get backlinks. Now, let's say that you do have a bunch of low quality websites linking back to your website, and it's gross and it's hurting your SEO. What do you do about it, right? Because again, you only have so much control over what other people online are saying about you. But again, there is a way to make sure that Google does not take that into account. And there are a few different ways you can do it. If you don't have a lot of traffic yet, you can do it manually, especially if you have WordPress. I use WordPress. It alerts me every time there's a backlink to one of my blog posts, my web pages, whatever. It's gonna get that little alert, and then I can take a quick look at it and see, is this relevant? Is it good quality content? Do I like this? Do I wanna be associated with this website? And if so, I can go ahead and approve it. And if not, I can go ahead and spam it. Again, I think that link will still work back to my website, but that's just my way of telling Google, No, please, I'm not associated with this person or this website. Please don't link us in your indexing of content, and Google will ignore it. There are also a bunch of tools out there that can help you with this on a larger scale. If you have a lot of backlinks to your website, I know SEMrush has a great backlink checker. I believe Moz does as well. So take a look out there for those tools that are available to you to check those links that are coming back to your website, and just make sure that they're all relevant and they're from high quality sites and they're helping your SEO. Anything that is hurting your SEO, you want to nix. So, and again, there are plenty of tools out there that can help you with that. So finally, are backlinks still relevant in 2020? And I've seen arguments for both sides on this, from SEO experts, from people that I trust, saying, some of them say, no, they don't really matter anymore, and other experts are saying, yeah, no, they're still super important. I do think they are still super important, not least because Google itself has said, yes, backlinks are still super important. And Google just recently, earlier this year, released all that information with the tags that it wants you to include in those links, so that you can make sure that you are linking properly. It's basically, Google wants more information about the links that you're using and that you're including in your website. When does anyone want more information on something that doesn't matter, right? So again, yes, backlinks absolutely matter, and it all goes back to the authority and the trustworthiness, which Google has really put emphasis on starting late last year and into throughout 2020 so far. That it's something that they're really focusing on. So pay attention to that and make it known that you need to be using backlinks in your website, and using them in a way that is smart and is going to benefit you. So that is it. Those are all my tips on how to crush your backlink strategy to help boost your SEO. If you have any other questions, you can find us at avwritingservices.com. If you want to ask me anything, you can find me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. That's it. Have a great week and happy marketing.